When Bachmann first announced their LBSC Thomas, I knew pretty quickly it was going to be a favorite of mine. I love the Adventure Begins as much as the next fan, but even more I just love the idea of an early Sodor Thomas. And when I saw that this was getting released, I immediately started plans for a pre-Sodor Thomas. But before we get into that, let's talk about the item itself. The box this Thomas comes in is pretty stock standard, and honestly this is something that I've come to expect, but I still think is a miss. This isn't a normal Thomas, so why would you give him a normal box? I think it would have been especially cool to make the Thomas in the corner green to match the model, but again I've come to expect such. I can't really say I'm disappointed, just nitpicking. The back of the box is also pretty standard, of course showing off Thomas's eye movements and the normal catalog that we've seen for years. You all have made so many new characters, why do you keep showing us these ones? And already from what's visible outside of the box, I'm excited to actually get my hands on this thing and really take in some of the extra detail that they've added with this model. So with all that being said, let's actually open this thing up. Starting with the obvious and honestly most unfortunate, this model does feature the same old boring face that everybody hates from Bachmann, but past that is altogether a pretty solid model. The green paintwork on Thomas has been very finely added, and the lamp irons and other small details are molded here in a nice black. The same old headlamp from previous Thomas models is also present. Again, more of a nitpick, but still something I wish they would change. Thomas's sides are also finely detailed, and the LBSC on his side tanks is printed very finely. Of course the 70 follows suit as well. Another addition that I and many others are happy to see is the inclusion of paint here, but the paint is only featured here on the side. On the front of Thomas, none such is present, so from the front it still looks like Thomas is just one big mold. But hey, again, points at least for trying. It's definitely a step in the right direction. The white pinstriping around Thomas is also very finely applied, and complement the chassis and overall look of the Thomas very well. The back of Thomas is no exception, and I'm beyond excited to actually see pinstriping on the back of Thomas for once, even though the box they made here is a little big, but looking past that it's a nice addition to actually have for once. Thomas's back lamp has also been painted, which was honestly unexpected but very welcome, and with all that together you have a pretty good Thomas model. This has to be personally one of my favorite portrayals of Thomas, and Bachmann honestly did beyond well in capturing it here. Even at face value the model is pretty damn great, but you guys know me, this thing's gonna need a couple coats of matte clear. Be sure to let it properly dry between sprays, and make sure you do multiple coats to avoid any splotchiness, as seen in this first initial one. Now might be a good time to mention to test your models before you spray them, as you can see I did here, and totally forgot to mention, but now that we know that he runs well and has that first coat of matte clear, we're good to move in and actually start weathering this guy. Personally I like to start at the coal bunker and work my way around. Don't be afraid to lay it on heavy in these areas as it's a coal bunker. It's meant to be dirty. Following this, I would do the same around Thomas's body, and really try to discolor that nice green that he is. Again, I imagine this Thomas more as a pre-Sodor one, in a other railway type environment, where he isn't as clean or looked after as much. I guess you could call it before the branch line. Now that we've added our weathering, it's time to go back and seal it all in. So after a couple coats of matte clear, we'll be able to go in and actually finish this one. And with that, the Thomas model is complete, after I added a face of course. Starting with the front of Thomas, I really wanted to distress his running board and buffer area as much as I could, as well as his face, mostly to really drive home that working look. As shown before, the same was done around his side tanks and body, as well as slightly around his dome area and especially his whistle. The other side is very much the same and actually features a figure. The back of Thomas was done much the same and around the top slightly more aggressively, as I imagine it's been a while since this guy's had a proper wash down. Though currently I'm waiting on replacement lamps, as well as some smaller details that I plan to add around Thomas, this project is for the most part completed, and became one of my favorites pretty quickly. When Bachmann first announced the product, I knew like any other model it would have its fair share of problems, but truth be told Bachmann seemed to really buckle down on this model, and as a result have possibly made one of their best so far. While it's not necessarily a perfect model, it's one that I would recommend to almost anybody, so long as you're a fan of Thomas. Now that we've taken a look at what I did to Thomas, let's see this guy in action. Also, just as a quick side note, I did go back and add a little bit of detailing to Thomas, which is the steam shovel you can see here on his running plate. I just thought it'd be a fun little detail. Perhaps his crew forgot to store it away. Now, back to the running session. only is this probably one of my favorite models now, but it was definitely one of my favorites to customize. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it. I have several more model projects on the drawing board, so be sure to be on the lookout for those, as well as any improvements that I might make to this model. I'm honestly wanting to go back and add a couple more small details, so with time I'm hoping to have this guy even more complete. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.